Hi, so in practicing, it's very important that we don't just stay busy, and that we be as productive as possible. So let's just assume that unlike sometimes that we have overcome the great barrier and the hurdle of well, just getting ourselves to practice, okay, to do it, to do the actual practice, right? Assuming that's the case, very often what happens is that, and I do this too, just in my life and practice, just ever all the time, is that we just get really busy. We just like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. Oh, let me try to do this. Oh my God, I'm just going to do it, and we get very busy with everything, but again, we don't end up being very productive, and that's a big problem because that's actually very different, being busy and being productive. Like, you could have somebody who's running around, let's say you're supposed to run a race, right? Let's say this person just runs around in one spot in circles for like an hour, right? He's super busy, while the other person, let's say it's a 100-meter race, and yeah, the other person just ran the 100-meter and got to the product, like got to the end goal of the race. And so that's kind of like an exaggerated, silly way of thinking of being busy versus being productive. But it's very important because, first of all, in starting practice, we should always try to have goals. This is a topic that I want to delve into in another video about how to set goals and all that kind of stuff. But for now, let's talk briefly about a practical way to be a little more productive rather than busy. So first, this is what a busy person would do. Let's say we're trying to learn a section of, let's say, okay, let's say the opening of a Bach or something. Okay, just that much. Okay, so let's say they're trying to learn that, and let's say they're just trying to learn the notes to that, to the Allemande. Okay, now there are many approaches, but one approach that I've seen very often that is not good is, like, let's say you have some problems, right? So you're playing. You can't quite get that, or something happens, right? And you can't, let's say, quite get to the E, okay, the way you want to. It's always out of tune. Something's going wrong. Okay. Very often, what I see happening is people will just play through the whole, like, sometimes a whole piece, and then they'll go and be like, oh, this is kind of not working. Let me try it again. Let me try it again. Let me try it again, and then do it like 50 times. Just trying it again, just going at it again, not really doing much analysis, and then just being like, and then when they get it right, they just do it like a couple times, sometimes not even a couple times, just once. They go, oh, I got it, and then they move on. They go to the next section, oh, it doesn't work, it's like, oh man, I can't get it. They try it again. They're like, oh, I got it, and then they move on. Okay, I'm sure you, in hindsight, everybody can notice the problem with this method. Okay, first of all, if you don't analyze what's going wrong, there's a big chance that you're not going to solve that problem as fast as you could, and that's very bad because all those times that you are just going at it, not efficiently solving the problem, you're practicing, basically you're training yourself to practice. You're practicing the wrong way. You're repeating it the wrong way many times, although your intention is to correct the problem. So the first problem is inefficient and kind of ineffective problem solving, right? And the second problem is that, okay, you finally got it, all right? You might not be sure what exactly you did to get there, but you got it, right? And then if you get it, you should probably make sure that you can do it the right way, like a gazillion times. test it from this angle, do it the next day, do it an hour later. You should test it and make sure the right way is going to stay with you before going on and saying and thinking that you got it, right? But instead, most of us, well, very often we tend to just be like, oh, I got it, yay, and go on to the next section, and the next day we're like, why is it not working? Okay? So there are these several, pretty big flaws. I've just pointed out two pretty obvious ones. And to avoid something like this, here is a very structured way of approaching a similar situation. Like you're trying to learn something. Let's say you're trying to learn the same section, same alaman, and you're basically having trouble with little sections along the way. How would you practice that most efficiently? So first step, okay, is to make sure that we take a small chunk. Okay, don't expect to do a large chunk. Okay, if first, I'm sure that by this time you've already done a run through. You kind of know where your problem spots are. Okay, if you do know your problem spots are, go right at them. If not, make a little chunk and figure out where the problem spots are. Okay, but let's say I have this section and I figured out this much. I figured out that that's not working out. Okay, so I keep hitting an E flat there. Now, if you were to practice this the wrong way, you would, right? You would just go at it. Be like, let me try it again, let me try it again, let me try it again. But once you realize there's a problem, the first thing you need to do is stop and think. Okay? Sometimes you won't know the answer, and this is when, the teacher helps, and sometimes extra thinking, and it might get involved. But let's say right now, the problem is that every time I come to that, before I play, the G before that E, I always think that I'm going to play an E flat next, and I always play the E flat, right? So first, I need to realize, oh, I was always playing an E flat. Then I figure out, oh, okay, an E natural is actually, physically speaking, a whole step space between the two fingers. Between the notes, G and E, it's not a whole step, obviously. But on the violin, the feeling between the 1 and the 2 here, between the G on the D and the E on the A string, is actually a whole step. It's a feeling of a whole step, right? Physically, and this is a half step, the E flat with a half step. So you figure out, what was my problem? And then you'll be like, oh, what do I need to do to fix it? Oh, I need to put my E there. Now, you could kind of, try isolate that even more and kind of try that. Right? And make sure, okay, that's how it really works. And then now, armed with the knowledge and the ability to fix the problem, actually knowing what exactly to do, you should try it now at a controllable pace, okay? I can control my finger at this speed, right? To go up to a whole step space, right? Make sense? Okay, so this whole first part is the problem, what I like to think of it as the problem-solving part. Problem-solving part should be done first by thinking and figuring out what's wrong, and then trying it carefully. Not like trying it over and over and be like, no, I can't get it, but trying it carefully, and then trying to execute it in a controlled way. The control is very important. If you lose control, if you figure out, oh, it's a whole step, but you go, right? I mean, I know that looks ridiculous right now, but it really happens in real life. I've seen it so many times. People are just going like, I think it work out. I think it's a whole step. And then it's like, well, come on, man. I mean, you're just going too fast for your brain right now. Your brain should be in front of your fingers. What's happening? And they still go at it, right? And I do the same thing too. Guilty, but something we really should not be doing. Okay? So controlled execution after you figure out what is wrong. Okay? Now, that's the end of the problem-solving part. Okay? Figure it out. Be able to do it once perfectly. Now, I've rambled on for like 4 minutes explaining this first part, but very often, for those of you who aren't playing something that's very physically difficult, okay, now that's a whole different matter. Let's say you're playing tens for the first time and you go, oh man, I can't get it. And then it's a physical problem, that's different. But normal problems where it's not physically weird for you and you're just trying to get the notes or trying to get a little small problem of a, you know, that's related to a technique you already know, problem solving should take very little time, okay? It literally should take, like, ideally, just a few seconds, okay? Let's say you're a pretty intermediate player and you're trying to play, and you go, okay, the exact problem I just talked about for like 4 or 5 minutes already. Without all the talking, you'd be like, okay, that's an E natural, I'm playing an E flat, let me see, what should I do to fix it? Okay, so it should probably go up to, you know, whole step spacing. Okay, I got it, let me do it at a controlled tempo, and then boom. You should be doing it at a controlled tempo where you can execute it immediately, okay? Worst case scenario, 3 or 4 shots at it, no more, okay? Once you do that and you've controlled and you got it, now it's time. Now you've basically proven to yourself that you can do it correctly, okay? Now it's time to train yourself, okay? One of the, there are many ways to train yourself, you know, to kind of space it out, you know, make it more scheduled out, you know, or do it a gazillion times a day of, immediately. Different approaches. This is one approach I like to do for training, and it seems to work fairly well in most cases. So, 4 times is, according to sports coaches, the number of times that we are able to do something repetitively and be of the, you know, the most amazing intense focus. Okay. Now this is not an excuse to always be lazy, because yes, our focus can go way beyond 4 times. However, it is, I think, useful to use this kind of knowledge from, you know, the high performance coaches in other fields. And so I'll take that small little section, problematic section, add a little bit on the side so that it's not too short, something like this. That's a regional section, sorry about the bad playing. And I'll try to do it perfectly 4 times in a row, okay? So this demands a lot of mental focus from me. It also means that I won't be repeating any bad habits. I won't be doing bad practice, right? And so during those 4 reps, right, I'll be intensely focused, okay, and I'll be doing them perfectly. And remember, still, controlled speed, controllable, doable speed, not something crazy, okay? Now, after you do it 4 times, I'll turn away, and I'll try to do it by memory, okay? Okay, and if I'm successful, what I'll do is I'll do it 4 times in a row by memory as well. Okay, and then after you do the 4 times by memory, okay, you need to then, well, actually, not after. If you fail, and you simply go back to the 4 times with music, okay, still trying to get 4 times in a row perfectly, okay. Now, as you do this, it's very important that you put extra effort into looking at the music intensely, okay, very intensely, to soak in all the information. Now, most of us don't have photographic memory, but I found that if you apply different memory techniques, and also just the idea of putting in that extra effort, even without techniques, of trying to soak in more information as you're practicing, actually increases the capacity for memory a lot. So then, we're able to basically soak in all this information, you know, as we are practicing, like, oh my god, that's a down bow there. Oh wait, that's a C sharp there. Oh, the hand feels like this. All these little things, we'd be hypersensitive and soaking all these things those 4 times. and then going back, trying it again by memory. If we fail, do it 4 more times again. Most people are able to soak in a small chunk very, very quickly. Okay, it depends on how difficult the song is for you, how intelligent you were in making a reasonable chunk, a doable chunk for you, and it has some other factors. But usually it ends up being fairly effective. If it takes forever and ever, make this chunk smaller. Okay, so this is one way of training it, training yourself. Now it's not very high repetition, but it's very intense focus. So it saves a lot of time. And then the key is to come back to that same section that you practice like this with a similar routine to revisit it at least 2 or 3 more times on different days. And then you can sleep over it, it soaks in, and then it'll start to ingrain itself inside of you. Alright, so yeah, that's the end of my video. Again, the main point of this is that you should always find a way to be productive, goal-oriented in your practice. Well, except for those moments when you're just, just so emotionally overcome by the beauty of the music, and that's a little different. It's, you should, but I mean, when you're trying to get things done, learn things, the learning part and the training part of the practice, you should really focus on having these clear goals and producing the results instead of just being like, okay, now I have the motivation to practice, I'll just practice super hard, I'll go at it, play through it, get the mistakes, find the mistakes, I'll get them right, and then just go on. Okay, so be productive and not just busy. All right, great, thanks, bye.